This is the knockout artist, Chris Hero. And if you're looking for some true heel heat, you better listen to the boys.
Rob Van Dam, listen to True Hill Heat. Pow!
What's up, True Hill Heat?
True Hill Heat.
What's up? True Hill Heat.
All hands is on me.
What's going on, everybody? This is your former AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Once a champion, always a champion. Swerve Strickland. Whose house? Swerve's house. You're watching True Heel Heat podcast.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. We are live on the True Hill Heat YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter for our WWE Crown Jewel 2024 review, breaking down today's premium live event from Saudi Arabia. And we got an all-star panel to talk all about it today. A genuine post-show for us. We usually do our reviews the day after, but you're getting a post-show to talk about everything that went down today. Of course, I am joined by my co-host over on the True Hill Heat flagship podcast, the Tru Draw himself, Josh. How are you feeling?
Whole lot to say about the show. Yeah. That's how I feel.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. We shall find out. And we got a very special guest with us today, joining us.
It's not a great thing. It's just to make it clear, it's not a great thing.
We got joining us special guest from over at Fightful and WrestleZone, writer extraordinaire, podcaster extraordinaire. Robert DeFelice is back with us. How you doing, Rob?
I'm doing all right. You know, I've got a little less to say, but I think that's because I'm just numb to what these shows are.
The numbing feeling that Saudi Arabia events make us all feel. Kind of feels like some of the people that have been in prison over there. Anyway, thanks for joining us live. We appreciate y'all. If you are joining us live, appreciate y'all. If you are joining us on demand, remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Let's drop the thumbs up on this video. You can also share this video with all your wrestling fans, friends, and family on all your favorite social media platforms. If you're new to the True Hill Heat YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell to stay notified for all the great content here. And of course, if you're with us live, sound off in the live chat. We love to interact with all of you guys, hear your thoughts on WWE Crown Jewel 2024. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you want to give back to what we do here, you could send a super chat donation. Any dollar amount matters. It goes back to the contributors that you see on screen with us here. And we always appreciate that kind of support. But yes, we're off the heels of WWE Crown Jewel 2024. So how we start off, usually all of these pay-per-view reviews, kind of one word, one phrase to kind of give your overall thoughts on today's PLE. Let's start with you, Rob.
Blew the load in the first. That's my overall thought on this show. They blew the load about 40 minutes into what was a 3-4 hour show.
That is fair. That's a fair assessment. My one word or one phrase would be thank God for the final two matches. This is on the verge of not only being the worst WWE PLE, I would say it was on the verge of being the worst show I saw all year. At us, like middle portion of this show, I was like, I don't know if I can make it. I don't know if I feel like I'm wasting my time here. Josh, what about you? One word, one phrase to give your overall thought to.
Let's go straight to the point. Didn't like it.
That's fair. That's fair. I think you're on a delay, Josh. I don't know if your internet, because there's like, I think you got a delay between when you hear me and everything else.
I'm just gonna say, if this
I'm
is
trying
the
to
worst
fix it.
if this is the worst thing you saw all year, I can tell you're not watching a lot of NWA shows or things of that nature, because I've seen much worse this year.
I've stand against NWA. I feel like that's cheating. That's cheat. It's harder to come up with a worst show of the year or worst match of the year if you're watching NWA, because that would be all that you were getting. And that's why I've stayed away from NWA shows. I think I've watched maybe one MLW show, but I've stayed away from NWA completely in 2024. After 2023, where genuinely all my worst stuff was NWA, I was like, I'm done with this.
Oh, I respect that. I'm a little envious of that, but what can you do?
You have to cover these shows, so I appreciate your sacrifice. I do. I really do. I stick to my WWE, my AEW, New Japan. New Japan earlier this year, they had a couple of shows that were just boring to the point that I was like, oh, this is one of the worst shows. Stardom, I watch, Miracle. I watch a lot of promotions, but NWA, I felt like I was cheating myself by watching that. So I've stayed away from that completely. Yeah. But yes, let's guys sound off in the live chat. Let us know what you thought about WWE Crown Jewel 2024. We got our main man Chuck Berry's in the chat today, who says, "What's good, THH fam? My word for this show is underwhelming."
That's fair.
That is fair. That's a fair one. But let's get into the show, because the show kicked off in a big way, a major way, as they had the Bloodline. And the Bloodline Civil War had its latest battle, as we had Solo Sikoa's bloodline of Tama Tonga and Jacob Fatu going up against the OG bloodline of Roman Reigns, Jimmy and Jey Uso. You get the big intro for the entire bloodline coming out together. Then we got Roman coming out with just Jimmy Uso. And the fact that Roman Reigns, if everybody remembers Bad Blood, Roman Reigns came out second to the undisputed WWE champion, who is highly regarded as the top babyface in not just his company, but the entire business, Cody Rhodes. And in this show, he comes out before Jey Uso. That was a statement. That was a statement to the popularity of not only Jey Uso, but his entrance, that they said, hey, we're going to give Jey the main event, the top star treatment. He comes out on his own after Roman and Jimmy. So Jey comes out to a huge ovation from the Saudi Arabia crowd, singing his song, doing the yeets and everything. They were very much into the entrance. Loved the little camera shots that went over to Roman reacting to the big reaction for Jey Uso, where he looked both disbelief and displeased, as commentary put it. But it was like a combination of, all right, I see you done grown up now. A little bit like that. So that was cool. The Bloodline took control early on, but Jey fought back against Tama Tonga. He tags in to Jimmy Uso. We saw some double team work from the Usos working well together. Jacob Fatu tagged in, but the Usos had no trouble with him as well. They cleared the ring, and Reigns seemed pleased with the both of them working together. The crowd loudly chanted, "We want Roman," and Roman called for the tag from Jay, but Jay tagged in Jimmy instead. Graves said Jay wanted Reigns to know he wasn't in charge and that they were on the same level. Jay and Roman argued while Jimmy tried to keep them on the same page, but he was distracted by them going back and forth, and that allowed the Bloodline to get the heat on Jimmy. Tama Tonga missed a stinger splash, and that brought in Jay. Jay started hitting some strikes. He has the running hip attack, but then Jacob Fatu tags in and gave Jay a pop-up Samoan drop and then took over. They took the heat on Jay for a while until Jimmy was knocked off the apron. Jay eventually fights back, and then he finally gives the hot tag to Roman. Roman comes in, and he goes at it with Solo. They exchange big punches and blows with one another. Reigns got the better. He hits a big leaping clothesline and a Uranagi, and then the Superman punch. He goes for the spear in the corner. It looks like he's about to hit the big spear, but Solo catches him. He hits him with the Samoan strike. The Samoan spike, excuse me, and he gets the 1, 2, and 3 basically because Jimmy Uso is late to break up the cover. It did not look like Roman was even going to kick out at all. Jimmy just missed the spot. Roman didn't kick out. The camera didn't catch Jimmy breaking up the cover, and he was late anyway. Jay handed out super kicks, but Jacob Fatu headbutted him while he was outside of the ring. He hits a big super kick to him. Reigns gave Solo another Superman punch. He yanked Tama into the ring, but Tama knocked over the referee in the process. Reigns handed out more more Superman punches. Fatu blocked an attempt on him and headbutted Roman. He hits a big implant DDT on Jimmy, and then he takes out both Usos on the outside with a big dive to the outside. He hits Roman with a big step up moonsault, and then Fatu wipes out them on the outside. Solo picks up Reigns. He hits him with one Samoan spike, then hits him with another while Reigns was on the mat, and he gets the 1, 2, 3. It was just like it was very close to like just a flat finish because it just felt like the finish just happened. Like the match never escalated into the third gear. So I think that was mainly why the fans were kind of surprised and stunned by this finish. But overall, I thought it was a pretty decent matchup. I just was underwhelmed and a little disappointed by the fact that I have higher expectations for these Bloodline tag team matches. And this one didn't even leave second gear to me. So I gave it 3 1/4. But the post-match was the better of this because post-match, you had the Bloodline, the new Bloodline in the ring. They put the Ulafala on Solo. Roman tries to fight back from the mat, but they all beat him down. Jimmy comes in, and he tries to help out, but he gets beaten down as well. Dre tries to make the save, but he gets beaten down as well. They clear the announce table. The crowd is chanting for Sami Zayn at this point. They place the chair around Jay's neck, and they look like they're about to take care of him. But the music of Sami Zayn hits, and Sami hits the ring. He slowly comes out. He stops what they were doing. Zayn stood tall, and he faced off with the new Bloodline. We get big chants of Sami Uso. Solo wanted Sami to join them, so he offers him a hug. Sami looks back at Jay with the chair around his neck as they were about to take him out. He then looks at Solo. He opens his arms like he's about to give him a hug, but instead he drops Solo with the exploder suplex. The Bloodline swarm Sami, but then Reigns and the Usos make the save. They clear the ring of the new Bloodline, and it leaves Solo all by himself on his own in the middle of the ring, surrounded by the OG Bloodline, the Bloodline members that he was a part of. However, it looks like Reigns is going for a spear. At the same time, Sami decides he's going for the Haluva kick, and Solo moves out the way. Sami nails Roman with the Haluva kick, knocking him out. Solo ducks out, and he says, "Look what you did. Look what you did." That looked great. Jimmy got in Zayn's face and asking him if he did that on purpose. Jay has to get in the middle of Jimmy and Sami as Roman is still recovering on the mat. And this whole scene ends with Sami walking away from the OG bloodline while Reigns, basically, we have the same shot that Cody did after he lost at WrestleMania 39 with Roman in the background. But this time we see Sami in the background and Roman Reigns confused on what just happened. The post-match, I gave 4 stars. The match itself, lower than that. Robert, what did you think about the OG bloodline versus the new bloodline?
Well, I thought the match itself I thought it was fun. They put their best foot forward. They left Tongaloa on the outside to just survey the ring. This is what I thought Bad Blood should have been. And that's my main problem with this is Solo should have pinned Roman the first outing. He could have gotten him again here, or he could have given it to Jimmy, but this was good story progression. Overall, I'm kind of pissed because it's like you had months to do this and now you're scrambling because Survivor Series is 4 weeks away and you're like, oh, I think we need to set up a War Games. Definitely loved the post-match, though. It felt good to see Sami with the bloodline. It feels like the weird kind of miscommunications that only happen in wrestling. Like, hey, obviously that was a mistake. If you just think about it for 2.5 seconds, maybe, we can avoid this. But I thought overall thumbs up. I think this was definitely the best outing for Solo since WrestleMania. And it really feels like he's finally coming into his own as a top heel while also having Roman. Okay, he's going to give back a little. It's to his cousin, so it's not like he's really making new stars, but it felt good to see Roman take a pin. Jay is over as all hell. What can you say about Jey Uso? He's so over that I really, honest to God, feel bad for Jimmy at this point because there's such a clear distinction of like, oh, Jimmy now needs them in order to feel like something. But yeah, overall, I'd say like a 3-star match, and I'd go a little higher, maybe 4.5, maybe even 5-star segment for the ending because I know where it's going, and I'm glad about that.
Yeah, I saw some people who didn't like the post match, but that was the one part of this that I really enjoyed because I was like, you couldn't give us the OG bloodline all back together immediately. They had to figure out a way to kind of spread this out so we get some more of the television. But I also agree with you that it does feel like all of this is being scrapped together very quickly because they're like, oh shit, we thought we had more time than what we had until Survivor Series. Josh, what did you think about the opening matchup and the post match here?
Opening match was pretty boring. It's a lot of it felt too slow for me. There was a lot of parts that felt very slow. I don't mind a slow start, but then if you pick it up, to me that works out because I get it. You're trying to see what you could do in a match, right? And we usually see that with Roman Reigns matches. We see him have a slow start. And then maybe the last 10, 15 minutes, that's where he picks it up, right? So I thought that this is where that match was going to go. And I just felt like I just didn't get it. It just felt like it was all in one, it just felt, everything felt very stagnant for me. And then even the finish, I was like, wait, that's it? I thought he would have kicked out because the way they did it, I was like, all right, maybe this is how they're going to pick it up. And I think they would have picked it up then, and the match I think would be probably better. I think that would have saved the match. But for me, that, like you said, it kind of felt like it finished abruptly. And that was the feeling I got. So then when I saw, I was like, damn, I guess it was a good thing this opened the show because this was the main event. Boy, I don't know. I'm just saying, oh, that would have been rough. That would have been really rough to finish a show like that. And then the post-match stuff, I didn't mind it too much. I thought it was okay. I didn't love it, but I thought it was okay. You're trying to bring in Sami. I think for me, it's just more of because we all see what's happening. We all see what's coming. maybe for me as a fan, maybe that's why I'm like, I don't love it, but I don't hate it. Like, I don't think there was something wrong with that, because you do have to build up to Survivor Series. Like, we all know that direction that's going, but I don't know. There was something about the segment that I kind of felt like it was cool to see Sami. It was cool to see that, but then it was like, I guess maybe because for me, maybe because the match was like such a drag that it was kind of like it felt kind of whatever to me. I mean, it's unfortunate that I feel that way, but I'm like, I can't lie how I feel about it.
Nah, it's fair. It's fair. I thought that the build to this matchup felt better than the match itself. So I can understand if you were so underwhelmed or disappointed by the matchup, you can't get into the post match as much as you wish you could. So I get that, because I was a little bit jarred after that match. I was like, that's it. Oh, okay, all right.
And I know they're capable of doing better, and that's why I think that's why too, right? Because there's certain things, right? There's certain stuff that we could like not deal with, but I think we kind of are accepted of, right? Like we at this point, like we know what we're getting from Solo, right? We know we're not getting anything that spectacular from Solo when it comes to his ring work, right? But we kind of expect it from Roman, we kind of expect it from like someone like Jacob. And I know I did see a lot of people have complained about like, I guess like the chemistry between Jacob and Roman. A lot of people haven't really been feeling it. Which was kind of like, when I started to look at it, I was like, I could see where people are going with. I think it's a matter of, I think both guys are holding back. I think that's what it is. I think both guys are like just waiting for like maybe like the big moment that they both could actually like work against each other. Maybe that's what it is, but I did see that. I was kind of like, it was kind of something I wasn't really thinking about until somebody pointed it out. And then when I started to see it, I was like, oh, I can see where people are coming from. But I think I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. I think it's just a matter of like, I think they're waiting it out. I think something big is going to happen between both of them. I don't know what it is. I don't know when. I think they're holding off on that. And I think that's why we haven't gotten what people have been asking for when it comes to like an interaction between Jacob and Roman.
I think there's also the reality of like bloodline fatigue is real.
No, it is.
It's not just fatigue in the angle, it's fatigue in the hype. Everything these guys do is presented like this is the biggest thing since the Attitude Era, and then you go, well, I don't see it, because now even you're even more prone to being like, all right, show me something crazy, and then it's just, oh, that was it. That could have happened on SmackDown in another era where we actually presented top guys on television. I think that's a huge problem too.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It is.
That's a good point, because actually when I was thinking about it, when I was outside and I was like, when I knew I had to do the review, I was thinking about it, and that kind of did come into my mind too, because I'm just like, yeah, we know where the direction is going when it comes to like, oh yeah, we're getting war games, but then I kind of just feel like things are like a little too predictable at the moment too for me, right? So the only thing I'm really looking forward to when it comes to the Bloodline stuff is like when The Rock is probably gonna get involved again, and we're probably not getting that for a while. But like like I think that's more what I'm intrigued about, right? Like how he's gonna be brought back in and how he's gonna be used and what's gonna be direction with that. Right now, we're just getting it. Kind of just again, like it kind of just feels like we're in pilot mode. We're just seeing where it goes, and like we know about the war game stuff, but then after war games, what's next? You know what I mean? Like. That's where I'm at with everything.
Yeah, it's very true, because even like this time last year, there was that bloodline fatigue that Rob's talking about. Like, it was very much after SummerSlam last year. That's why Jay had to go to Raw, because there was so much bloodline fatigue that they had to separate him completely to give him a chance to become the breakout star that he eventually has become. And then The Rock coming in at the beginning of the year is what brought back the vibes of the Bloodline, having the great television that they was giving us. And then when Roman went away, when Roman and Rock went away, it was the fact that it was all new people. You had Solo, you had Tama Tonga, you had Tonga Loa, you had Jacob Fatu. And now we're going into this is good. But that whole part of the program has been going on for 6 months. Despite Roman coming back, despite Jimmy coming back, it still can feel like, all right, y'all need to bring us back to the heights of earlier this year and early 2023. And if they don't hit that, it's like, I'm a little disappointed.
It's sort of like a lot of people compared the ending of WrestleMania to Avengers Endgame, right? With everybody coming out, and we're sort of in the MCU phase of fatigue as well. And New Bloodline kind of feels like that, where you're going, yeah, but it's Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. Don't you just care about these things because they're branded Bloodline? And they're great, but I don't know if we need, 8 movies, 5 TV shows, and a special. Maybe we just need the special.
That's a great comparison. The Bloodline, sorry, is the MCU. It's definitely the MCU right now. It's MCU post Endgame right now. We need to find the WandaVision. We need to find the Loki of this, but they're still figuring things out. We might get some good stuff. We might, Roman coming back. That was No Way Home. You got some good stuff in between, but we don't. We're not have the good streak, the consistency that it had before Endgame. But yes, we'll talk more about the Bloodline story and where it's heading on True Heel Heat tomorrow. But let's get back into this show, because next up, you had a 4-way for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill defending against Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. Damage Control, Io Sky and Kairi Sane. And Metaphors, Lash Legend and Jakara Jackson. All the ladies, man, the gear was exceptional in this matchup. I thought this was some of the best gear making I've seen for the ladies in a very, 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 very long time. And they always do pretty well with the design work and everything, but I thought that the design game for all of the ladies involved was great. And I thought that the ladies put in a really good effort from everybody involved. There was some spots that were very mistimed and probably did not work out well. In particular, Io Sky and Kairi Sane, who is probably, in my opinion, the best tag team out of all of these 4 of these teams. They tried to do the Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio launch up into the Hurricane Rana spot, and Io slipped off the ropes, which she wouldn't be the first one or the last one on this show to do that throughout the show. But much of this was a lot of fun action, especially when they get into the dives to the outside, everybody being launched in, as well as Jade Cargill going at it with Lash Legend. I said this looked like Storm versus a very thick black Mystique. It felt like an X-Men battle between the two ladies, just beating the hell out of each other, hitting each other hard with big chops. Like I said, you had the dives to the outside. Chelsea Green freaking first she wanted to go off the second rope, then she wanted to go off the bottom rope, then she wanted to go off the apron. She eventually goes off the apron front ways and lands on Piper Niven. Piper catches her and she hugs her, but then Kairi launches herself off the top rope with the insane elbow. You get Io Sky with a big moonsault to the outside. Everybody comes in. You get the move train of everybody hitting their big moves. Piper Niven hits a Michinoku driver. She looks like she could get the win. Her and Chelsea are doing some nice little double teams. They're trying to set up Jade for the Vader bomb, but Piper doesn't see that Jade has reverse things, so she lands on Chelsea, taking her out. And then Piper, I was very confused with the last spot here because Piper Niven basically went back up to the top rope, to top the second rope to do the Vader bomb with nobody there. I was like, what's the reason why she's going up to the second ropes? Oh, it's because they have to do the Doomsday device. But that's not that logically. I understand that. But in the story of the matchup, it just seemed like she was setting herself up for the finish. So Jade gets her on her shoulders for the Doomsday device. Bianca and Jade hit the Doomsday for the 1-2-3 to retain the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Like I said, I think some of this was clunky, but on the most part, it was very fun. very entertaining. So I gave it 3.25 stars. So similar to the opening matchup, except the opening matchup I had higher expectations for. So I like this match more than the opening matchup. Rob, what did you think about the 4-way?
I can understand that it was clunky in some spots. I think this was easily the most fun women's match they've ever presented in Saudi Arabia. I think they had a lot of great people in there. I think everybody played their part perfectly. Chelsea did a great spot where she looked like she was going to go for a top rope moonsault, went down to the first rope, couldn't even do it off that. And then, just that's so fun. And Chelsea's great. I think Damage Control should have won here because I think they're dragging their feet a little bit with whatever they want to do with Bianca and Jade. And I still think the move is not them in a singles at Mania. I think we got to pivot somehow to just get Bianca in the ring with a returning Charlotte Flair. But if they're going with the singles, even then, I still think, kind of like I just talked about with the Bloodline, WWE has this problem with, we know where we're going, but since we have all this time, we're just going to drag it out and then we'll rush it 3 weeks before whenever we want to do the match. I think they should have lost here, but, Bianca and Jade are still on a roll. I think they should utilize more that ability to defend against everybody because it got 2 NXT girls on a Saudi show. That's really cool. I think they're the first NXT superstars to do that. And honestly, with the Raw division being as bare as it is, I think you should probably tag in Bianca for a Liv Morgan match coming up here soon. But overall, thumbs up. I thought it was a great match.
Yeah, I agree with you. I suggested, I think in the article this week, that Bianca is one of the people that you should have try to fill in for Rhea Ripley after this injury because it's low bar over there. And I also suggested Bayley. Bayley's another one who's not doing much on SmackDown. You get to throw her over on Monday Night Raw to fill that void as well. Josh, what did you think about the 4-way here?
The match was better than I expected. It was entertaining. It was more about like the big spots in the matches. I mean, that's all you can really ask for when it comes to like a 4-way match like this, a 4-way tag team match, because I'm pretty sure a lot of people just wrote it off anyway. So it was a good thing that a lot of the women, they did deliver. I don't want to say over deliver, but yeah, I mean they passed expectations, I would say. Yeah, they had some like missteps, but it wasn't as bad as we've gotten from like some of the women's matches we've gotten lately. Like Royal Rumble, I could think of, there was like a lot way more messiness when it comes to that, like botches and missteps. And then what was the other match? The one in France, right? Backlash, right? The tag team match in Backlash. We had that. So I don't think when it comes to this, I don't think it was as bad as that. So I think they kind of get a pass on that just because, the match itself was better than I expected. I mean, it was entertaining. I do think the right team did win. I think Jade and Bianca, they are currently on a roll that, this is what at least me and SP3 were asking for, right? When they got the belts back, they're like, if you want them to feel important, then make them feel important. This is the direction you go. But I do agree with when they tend to drag certain things out, because I mean we kind of see the writing on the wall, right? I think this is leading to like Jade versus Bianca for Mania, and maybe it happens next year. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, like when it happens by then, like are a lot of people are gonna care? Like they probably would have done it this year. I don't know. Like, and that's why it was sometimes with WWE, I think at least with Triple H's booking, that's kind of the problem that we fall into, right? Sometimes we want story, right? People were, for all like the last 2 years, people were saying like, oh, what about the story? Storylines matter, right? Storytelling matters. But then sometimes when you drag something too long, then people just don't care by the time it happens. So like, I mean, I really hope it doesn't happen for this kind of match, but I feel like this is where it's kind of leaning to, because the longer you prolong it, then by the time it happens, a lot of people might not care about it.
Yeah. I'm hoping it pays off for both ladies because I think they're very talented. And I agree with Josh. I think that Jade and Bianca have to hold on to these titles a lot longer. I do think that Rob is right in the fact that I think Damage Control is like I said, I think they are the best tag team in the division. But we talked about Bayley, talked about Bianca. Io Sky is now that she's lost twice for the tag team titles. Now separate her from Kyrie and make her a top babyface on Monday Night Raw. She's already there, and she's one of the best, if not, I think she's the best women's wrestler in the entire company. Let her go after Liv Morgan because
it could work.
We'll get into the Liv Morgan matchup because
it could work.
I like Liv Morgan, but I'm putting her on the clock after this show. After this show, you're on the clock to give me a good match. Please, give me a good match.
Also, Kyrie is a hell of a single star too. I think people have completely forgotten the NXT run. Kyrie can go, and it might be time to split them and get some good singles stars out of it.
Yeah, could do a number one contenders match with just those two, and that would be a banger of a match on Monday.
And that's funny, right? Like you guys mentioned that, like that they're both like fantastic, but then it's funny too because I'm like, yeah, out of all the 4 teams, they're probably the best tag team. That's what makes it funny.
Yeah,
so it's like it's kind of like one of those things where I was like, I get it, right? I understand it, but then it's like you do that, you take away another tag team, and then where do you go from there when it comes to that? But I get it. Like, I do agree with that, especially with the injury with Rhea. I mean, it's an unfortunate year for her, right? She started off hot. She was finally getting like the momentum, like, oh, she's actually a really good champion. Because remember, a big part of her run, we kind of were criticizing it because it was like, yeah, it's too Judgment Day heavy when it comes to her carrying the belt. She doesn't have no challengers. And then when she started to have challengers and she started actually having good matches, then the injury happens. And then she had to drop the title. She comes back. And then, like the Judgment Day story, it was what it was. And then all of a sudden she gets injured again. And now we don't even know how long she's going to be out for. Because even when she was out, there was a rough period on Raw where it was like, where's the women at? We don't have Becky. We don't have Rhea.
I'll be honest. I don't think the Raw women's title scene has freaking recovered from that period of her being gone, and then Becky was gone after him. Because remember, Becky was supposed to take time off after WrestleMania, and she came back to win the women's world title and then drop it to Liv. And then when she left, yeah, it was barren. And
it was rough.
I think it recovered for a bit in the lead up to SummerSlam with the Liv Rhea when that was at its height, at its peak. But since then, it still hasn't recovered from it.
It hasn't.
And by the way, they're making sure to have Liv Morgan go out there and go, I retired Becky Lynch, which means they're on the phone like, hey, it's getting rough. We kind of need you.
Like, we all know you're on a sabbatical, but we kind of need you right now. We don't know how long Charlotte's gonna be, so we need you.
Because she's gonna ask, she was like, "Hey, there's a blank check. Write the number you want, Rebecca. Yep. Please, we just need you back."
What time do you want the Brinks truck at your house? You want it after you feed Rue? We got. In the chat, Will Chisholm, good to see you. He says the Meta Girls got an NXT chant in Saudi. Wow. Yeah, I thought I heard that too. I was like, damn, like, hey, Lash Legend.
There was a straight up NXT chant in Saudi, and Triple H kind of teased, okay, well, think about it. I'll talk to Sean. Like, which would be good for that crew to, get some overseas exposure, even though I'm not crazy about these particular shows.
I agree with you there. But yeah, I was happy to hear that for the Meta Girls. But next up, we had Bronson Reed with his MF Doom gear. I was so hyped for this as a rap fan. I was like, Go ahead, Bronson Reed. Good, going for the hip hop heads. He's facing Seth Rollins one-on-one here. Seth entered first. When Bronson Reed came out, Seth got into the entranceway and started brawling with him. They brawled towards the ring. Seth hits a tope suicida to the outside. However, Reed grabs him and slams him over the barricade into some leather chairs. They got into the ring for the match to officially start. Reed immediately hits a tsunami, but he doesn't go for the cover. He goes for another tsunami, but Seth's able to move out the way. Seth eventually moves and hits the curb stomp, and he barely gets a 2 count on Reed. Reed kicking out of his finisher. Rollins went for a sunset flip, but Reed sat down on him. Reed worked him over until Rollins countered a powerbomb into a DDT. Rollins followed with a flying clothesline, but Reed remained on his feet. Reed met Rollins on the middle rope, but Rollins headbutted him off. He hits a big frog splash off the top rope for a near fall here. They start like brawling with one another. Seth's hitting him very hard, but he's only able to get the 1 count on that frog splash. Rollins hits a rolling elbow, but Reed just knocked him over and hits a spinning sit-out powerbomb for a 2. Reed followed with a Death Valley driver for another 2. He hits a big superplex for another 2 count. Reed is talking trash, but Rollins smacks him in the face, so Reed just levels him with a clothesline. Reed sets up for a tsunami, but Rollins rolls to the other side of the ring. Reed hit a senton and went back to the top rope, but Rollins rolls out to the floor this time. Reed grabs steel steps and tries to hit Rollins with it, but Rollins is able to counter. He drop toe hold into the steps and then hits a curb stomp on the steps, and you could see it even before he starts leaking blood that he had a big cut on his face after the curb stomp. Reed slipped into the ring to avoid the count out, but Rollins hits him with an immediate curb stomp. He then goes to the top rope and hits a super curb stomp for the 1-2-3. Seth Rollins gaining the victory here, and what I thought was a really good matchup. I gave this one 3.5 stars. Rollins gingerly made his way to the ramp, but Reed emerged to his feet to Rollins' surprise. Reed had a stream of blood down his face. Reed wanted more, but Rollins told him that I'll make you famous, and the result would be the same next time. Like I said, I thought this was a really good matchup, and due to this victory, Seth Rollins has got himself into a fatal 4-way matchup, number 1 contenders fatal 4-way match to determine the next challenger for the World Heavyweight Championship. It will be Seth Rollins, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, and Sheamus this Monday on Raw from Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Josh, what did you think about Reed versus Rollins?
The matchup was good. I've been liking the stuff they've been doing with Bronson Reed in the ring. I've always thought he's been a good performer. I think he's more than proven that. I think that that he could go in the ring. I don't know how I feel about the end result because I thought Bronson Reed should have won.
I agree. I was saying this for weeks that Reed needed to win the first matchup. They're going to do more than one matchup between these two guys, but Reed needed to win the first one. How do you expect they're trying to hype him up on commentary the whole matchup? Oh, he's a special attraction. He's a draw. He's one of the guys they can't suspend because he's so much of a draw. He's so much of a main event player, but he loses every big matchup.
Are they kidding? And then they're trying to sell that. It's like, no, he doesn't get suspended because they're fucking scared shitless of him. Have they not been seeing their own product? I'm like, that's the reason why. That's the reason why they have suspended him. But yeah, I really thought not only that, but I'm like, yo, he needs some wins. He's again. I've been liking what they've been doing with him. They've been showcasing him more, which I think that's that's the right step. But then at the same time, if you want somebody to matter, wins do matter in a sense. I know a lot of people try to shave wins matter. I'm like, no, but if you're trying to build somebody up and if you're trying to give them some kind of push, that's where the win factor does matter. And you already had him lose to Braun Strowman, right, in that crazy ass match on Raw, and then you have him lose to Seth Rollins. So I'm like, okay, present him as this big monster and keeps fucking losing. This is not what I want. But again, I mean, he's been like, I've been loving his work. Like I've been loving his work in the ring. It's just like those little things that you said. Like I'm like, yo, this guy, he should have at least won this match, and then you do like the trilogy match like they always do. Then Seth winning the next two doesn't really hurt him, but it's like, okay, I guess maybe they have another matchup, and then maybe Bronson gets involved in his fatal 4-way that causes stuff, and they end up having another match that way. I think it wouldn't be too far-fetched if that happens, honestly. I see that. I totally see that happening. But, I mean, overall, fun matchup. I thought both guys delivered. I just thought the result should have been the other way.
Rob, what did you think?
I mean, they tried so hard to go, listen, gotta beat him, but I swear to God, he's a monster. Look, he's getting up. He's getting up. It took like 5 curb stops. Please understand, we're making him. But at the end of the day, if he loses, that's all anybody's going to remember. I mean, WWE does this with all their monsters. They want them to be monsters so bad, but once you beat them, the aura's gone. I had the same problem with Obafemi over on Tuesday nights now because you beat him twice. What are you going to do? The problem with Rollins is dude's wrestled like 3 singles matches this year. He also had to win, or it's going to be like, why is this guy in the 4-way? So I get it. They were in a tough spot, but I also think Reed should have won. That being said, I think Rollins should win here and maybe even be the guy to beat Gunther just so we can get CM Punk a world title match whenever he steps into the ring with Seth Rollins, because I think Punk deserves it. And we're at that point in the calendar now where you kind of got to start going, all right, Royal Rumble, what's the match? WrestleMania, what's the match? I think Rollins should maybe win that world title back soon.
I don't think Rollins and Punk is going to be for the world championship. And I don't think it needs to be for the world championship. I think Gunther is going to be the world champion going into WrestleMania, and he'll probably face John Cena.
I understand that. I get that. But like the reality of the eventual Punk, like always a bridesmaid, never a bride. Can I just get the fucking top spot at WrestleMania?
No, Triple H is going to be like, you're more motivated when I don't give you what you want. When I didn't give you the Hell in a Cell main event, you gave me one of the best Hell in a Cells ever.
Yeah, and then when it comes to your point, where it comes to stuff like him having less matches that maybe he needed to win, they also could have done the story of he hasn't wrestled much and that's why he lost, like because he's not ready. He's not, they could have done something when it comes to that effect as well. But it's just I don't know. And then when he said here, are they trying to build? Now, I don't think they're burying him. I don't think that's what it is.
Yeah, loss does not equal burial.
No.
Yeah, like they're not burying him. I don't. At least I look at the term burying differently, because again, they've been showcasing him good. Like he's had good performances. He's had good matches, and he's looked good. Even when he was,
and it took 4 stomps. It took 4 stomps and a super stomp to beat him.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to that aspect, I get it. Like like at least he did something that is like, oh, at least he didn't get squashed, or they didn't make it seem like it was easy. So I guess to their benefit, I guess like that's what they were trying to do. But to people like us, right? If we're discussing stuff like this and we're discussing booking. It's just, you're presenting this guy as this big monster, not only the monster, but then like what you said, they're talking about, oh, he's the biggest draw, he's this and that. And I'm like, nobody goes out to see losers. That's the problem. So you can't sell me on that.
Yeah, that was the issue here for me. I was just like, like I said, I thought this was a very good matchup, but I have a but at the end. But Reed probably should have won because Reed was the one who needed this win. And I do agree with what Rob's saying, because I said it on our preview. I was like, Seth literally has not won a match in 2024 since January. He won against Jinder Mahal. He got injured, and he never won another match after that.
Damn, and then you got fired since then too. So it's like,
I know.
it's kind of crazy. Yo.
So, I'm honestly like reading the comments, hearing what you guys said. What I think they're gonna do on Monday. Oh no, he's not. See, this is the whole reason. Like, I just had to remember it's in Saudi Arabia, so they can't do what I wanted them to do. I was like, they should have Reed take out Seth, so he's not in the 4-way, and then Punk replaces him, and Punk wins that to set up Punk and Gunther at Survivor Series. But Punk is not in Saudi Arabia, so that's not happening.
That's probably a great decision for Phil not to be in Saudi Arabia for other reasons, nothing story wise, just a lot of outside stuff.
He gotta stand by his principles. I appreciate that from him.
No, that's why.
Next up, they go with the Women's World Champion Liv Morgan versus the WWE Women's Champion Nia Jax to determine the first ever Women's Crown Jewel Champion. They get the big intro and everything. The title is presented. This matchup here, I really wanted to like it. I'll be honest. I really wanted to like it. I just couldn't. Jax, I like the early portion of this matchup. Jax headbutting Morgan early in the match, just like Rhea headbutted her and got hurt in that way. Morgan hits a big tornado DDT for a 2 count. Cole said there would be a huge upset if Morgan won, and Graves rightfully told him that it shouldn't be considered an upset because it's a champion beating another champion. Jax hit a Samoan drop for a 2 count, and then Jax went for a super Samoan drop and hit that and got only a 2 count as well. Morgan hits a big power bomb off the second rope, and then at that point, that is when Tiffany Stratton shows up with the Money in the Bank briefcase. She hands it over to the referee. Liv is going for Oblivion, but Jax counters into a slam for 2. Stratton hops off the apron, hoping to cash in, but Nia catches her and basically talks her down, tells her to leave. When Tiffany goes again, she tries to cash in a second time. That's when Raquel Rodriguez shows up. She tries to snatch the briefcase away from her. Liv and Raquel approach Tiffany on the outside, and then Jax takes out all 3 women. Dominic Mysterio shows up. He throws the Money in the Bank briefcase into the ring after Nia hits a big leg drop, and she's going for the Annihilator with Nia on the second rope and the referee distracted with Dom. That's when Raquel Rodriguez gets back involved. It's a big boot on Nia. Liv follows up with a code breaker and then follows up with the Oblivion for the 1, 2, 3. Liv Morgan is the first ever Women's Crown Jewel champion. Triple H presents her with the championship belt, and she celebrates to big pyro and everything. I thought this match, it felt like I was watching a House of Torture match. It felt like I was watching Evil go for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship because this shit was overbooked to shit. This has nothing to do with Liv. This has nothing to do with Nia. This was just overbooked to shit. It was starting off as a pretty decent matchup until Tiffany Stratton came out to do the same spot of her fake cashing in that they have now done for 3 straight pay-per-views. They did this at SummerSlam, did this at Bad Blood, and now they did this here. Then you get Raquel and Dom getting involved. It was more about the interference than what the ladies were actually doing in the ring. I will say that. So I'm not going to put this completely on the ladies. But like I said before, I am putting Liv Morgan on the clock because I don't think I've seen a good Liv Morgan matchup other than Rhea Ripley at SummerSlam in this whole entire reign that started in May. We're going on month 6 of you being the champion, and you've only given me one really good matchup. That's it. I know she's had solid stuff. She had a solid match with Zelina Vega on Monday Night Raw. The Bad Blood matchup with Rhea was not good. This was not good. So I'm putting you on the clock. You need to have, if they expect you to be the women's world champion by the time we get to Mania, and hopefully Rhea's back to take this title from you, we're gonna need better. We're gonna need better. I know everybody wants to root for Liv, and Liv is a great story with how hard she's worked. But like this whole act is just channel changing for me. Like I can't stand it. Like this whole act of too much interference and being all about the interference. This is why I don't like a lot of New Japan when the House of Torture is involved. It feels very House of Torture American version. the Liv Morgan, Dom, Raquel interference act. I'm getting sick of it. 1 star. Robert?
I think there's an argument that can be made that New Judgment Day, even Old Judgment Day, but especially New Judgment Day, is a little House of Torture American version. I'm sure they haven't done it as much as I'm about to make it sound, but this finish with Dom throwing in the weapon and then immediately distracting the referee is beginning to feel a little bit like I'm watching TNA in 2005 and Jeff Jarrett has a guitar.
Yes.
And
yes. It's
like,
Planet
look,
Jarrett. Yes. Yo, that's a great one. I thought I was good with my House of Torture. That might be even more accurate.
It's just the same beat. I get it. We need to neutralize Dom, and that's the story you're telling. But also do something else. And again, I'm not going to say she's on the clock for a good match, but she needs a different opponent, a different story, a different something, because this is fun. And you can tell she's, very grateful of the spot she's in. She's crying to be, a double champion and all that. But I just want to see something else. And for that matter, I'd like to see the whole Judgment Day thing go away. If you're not going to immediately kill the Bloodline, can we kill Judgment Day? Like, this thing needs to stop, and we need something fresh. And yeah, I don't know. You said 1 star. I don't know if I can go that far because it's just like it was a dud.
I don't blame you. I'm giving the 1 star because I want to give these ladies a little bit of credit.
As you said, it's not on the women.
Until it was booked to shit.
I think Nia has had the best run of her career since returning. I think she's great. I think Liv is on the best run of her career. But these are 2 characters that did not need to be clashing. And we knew that back when they announced it. It felt like, okay, the obvious move here is Rhea beats Liv at Bad Blood and Rhea riptides Nia and everybody goes home happy. But we got what we got, and I'm so ready for something new. There's a roster women. Call up Julia. I know she just got there. I don't really care. Io's cutting promos in Japanese. It's fine. Call up Julia, call up Steph, use one of those Jordan Grace appearances to have her take the women's world title from Liv Morgan. Like, the women's division on the main roster is really hurting, and it's because it's stuck in limbo, and I need it to change. And also, the Tiffany thing, as you said,
getting tiring. Yeah.
Why didn't she try to cash in? Why, did she just leave ringside? Why didn't they play up? Hey, okay, you're cashing in. What title do you want? Like, what's going on here? They just sort of said, no, we'll take care of this on Friday because this was just a beat for the Saudi Arabia championship that we're going to keep in the vault and display for the fans in Saudi. It's just fine. It's propaganda. It's like whatever, but it's boring.
Absolutely. Planet Jarrett was your best comparison. Yes, it was very Planet Jarrett. Oh, Josh, what did you think of this?
This was easily my worst match of the night. It's not really. I mean, certainly no debate to that. When I was watching it, the start was okay. Nothing spectacular, nothing crazy. I know they had like that one miss spot where I guess it was supposed to be a pin, and Nia just freaking Samoa dropped the shit out of Liv, and then they try to make it seem like, oh no, it was a counter. I was like, that wasn't no damn counter. You freaking smashed the shit out of her. But for me, it got lost after Tiffany came out. Again, it's getting a little tiring. Especially when they're making Tiffany look like an idiot. You know what I mean? Like, this is somebody that you're saying, like, hey, this is like your top star. Like, this is like your rising star, right? This is the same one that, in Elimination Chamber, she was the most over person in that Elimination Chamber match. Now we just having her come out to tease a cash-in that's not happening. And she looks very small doing it every time Nia is bullying her to not do it. I just don't. I mean, that's fine. Like, hey, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But then after a while, it gets repetitive and it just gets plain boring. This was no different. It was the same act, and I'm like, it just, for me, that's where for me it kind of got like, I already knew, like, I was like, yo, well, fuck this match. I don't want to watch this shit no more. Like, that's how I felt. And I feel bad saying that because I'm like you guys said, like, Nia, I've always been critical on Nia, but I have also said, like, yo, she came back and it's been a great run for her, right? She's done a lot. She's cleaned up a lot of her wrestling. I like stuff like that. But, when it comes to like the whole Tiffany stuff, that threw me off. And then, like you said, like the whole Dom and Raquel getting involved, it's a tired act. Because even with the bad blood stuff, if that botch doesn't happen, it would have been the same thing. Somebody got involved and Liv won. Like, it would have been the same thing. But because because the finish was botched, it just looked like it was a whole mess, right? And it's just like it was like, oh, especially for something that you guys were promoting as like, oh my God, this is as big as the Super Bowl. This is as big as the World Series. And this is the bullshit you come up with a match like this. And you come up with all that overbooking shit for something like this. How am I supposed to take that stupid belt serious? I didn't take it serious before then. It doesn't do nothing for me now. It was just a waste of time for me.
It's all for Liv to start doing the Dynamite Diamond Ring gimmick of using the Crown Jewel ring as her way to get wins now.
That is a good point. They are allowed to take the ring is not staying in the vault, only the belt, and she could end up doing a Dynamite Diamond Ring thing. Even that I wouldn't mind, as long as it's just her and it's not, oh look, Dom's distracting the ref. I'm ready for something new. I'm really ready. I know we want new stars in this division, but at this point, call Becky, call Charlotte, make these matches mean something again, and then build stars off the back of that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Next,
I agree with that.
I agree with that. Next up, it was supposed to be Kevin Owens going one-on-one with Randy Orton. Shout out to Kevin Owens, who is the best, is the best heel already. He just turned heel. He's probably one of the best heels in this whole company because he's wearing a Cowboy Bob Orton t-shirt. You have Orton, who comes out to arguably, even with Roman Reigns having a big ovation, and then Jey Uso seemingly topping that with his entrance. I think they were loudest for Randy Orton singing voices. They were ridiculous. He was ridiculously over in Saudi Arabia. But this match doesn't even start as Kevin Owens attacks him with a steel chair from behind, hitting him in the knee. Owens clears the announce table, but Orton fights back. He starts hitting him with the back suplex onto the table. Orton sold his knee a bit, which Owens targeted earlier with the chair. Owens attacked Orton once again with the chair. Again, when they get back into the ring, referee Eddie Arango yanked the chair out of Owens' hands, so Owens hits him with the stunner. He took a great bump, too. Officials ran down as Orton attacked Owens with the chair this time. Orton drove Owens onto another announce table as officials scrambled around. Cole said that the match has been waved off. Sean Daivari tried to stop Orton in the ring, and Orton basically kicked him and then chucked him into the ring post. Adam Pearce comes out and he gets RKO'd. I was like, Randy Orton might be the MVP of the show just for that spot. Or the brawl continued as they fight. They're just brawling ridiculously all around. Orton hits him with the Hangman's DDT, and then they fight into the crowd where Owens hits Orton with an equipment box and then lays him across some tables, and then Owens hits a big crazy flying elbow drop from the stands into Orton through the table. Officials check on both men, and this match, like I said before, has been waved off, but I'll take that. You know, I knew there was a chance that this 7-match card, it would probably still remain a 6-match card, but they would make one of these matches an angle. And I think they picked the right one because it did feel a little bit like it was too early for Orton to take the loss here. and you can get more than just one match out of a Orton Owens situation. And I said on our preview, I thought that Owens might win or might lose this by disqualification of kicking Orton's ass too much. But I prefer this of no one loses, just a big fun brawl that got the crowd excited, and it continues the rivalry. So I enjoyed this. Robert?
Yeah. First, I want to say that my initial assumption when the match started was that it would be a typical Randy match with, some nice exchanges, but also a lot of rest holds and headlocks. I was very surprised when I had gone upstairs during the entrance, came back down, and Carmelo Hayes was already making his entrance. I had to catch up while those men were making their entrance. I thought this was great. I would have made one tweak. Instead of doing it like this, I would have had Triple H refuse to make the match as he was doing, and then just have Randy go, Kevin, I'm showing up in Saudi Arabia. You can show up and we can fight, and then you just do this exact angle. And I wonder if them, especially Randy RKOing Pierce, is a way to get Randy off the cards through Survivor Series. So KO maybe goes to challenge Cody. Randy can come back. Maybe they can have a street fight at Saturday night's main event and, or do whatever you need to do going into the Rumble. But I'm wondering if Randy's going to take a little bit of a break.
That could be the reason, because I didn't know. I watched the post show and they interviewed Owens, and he was selling that he broke his ribs, but he said, I walked out, Orton had to be carried away, so they could write off Orton so KO can focus on Cody for a bit, because Cody doesn't have another challenger outside of KO right now, and Orton teasing that he's coming for the title.
I mean, and honest to God, I know nobody wants to hear this, and we know this is the predictable part that's annoying, but Solo did just pin Roman. Maybe he's finally earned a match for the championship as opposed to just being given one because he's Solo.
A third time to lose to Cody? Nah,
yeah, I don't think it's going to happen, but he does have a little bit of a right.
He does. He has more of a right than he has in the past. That is true. Josh, what did you think about the brawl with Orton and KO?
I don't know. I'm a little mixed about it. Maybe I wanted the actual match. Maybe that's what it was. So for them to just basically like not have a match, I thought it was a little weird. Brawl itself was okay, but man, Randy Orton was showing he was like really, he's really an old man, because he was really moving pretty slow with them chair shots. Some of the stuff he was doing just looked very, like it didn't feel like a brawl because of his end. It felt more like a brawl because of KO. I felt like KO was more intense. Orton, it just felt like, it was like, all right, let's just do this real quick. Even though in his entrance he took maybe a little too long for my liking, because it got to a point I'm like, all right, Orton, hurry the shit up. I even wrote in the chat, and then as soon as I said that, that's when he got his ass beat. So I'm like, I think part of it was on me, because I was just like, I'm like, all right, I get it. I get the singing, but I'm like, oh my God, like this is like Roman's level of like entrance. I'm just like, oh my God. But overall, I mean, if that's the direction they're going to continue this, I mean, by all means. It was, again, like I don't know, maybe I was like, if this was an angle, right, and this was what they were doing, they're already doing this shit on Raw. They could just do it again on SmackDown, right? They're already having brawls with Seth Rollins and Bronson Reed. They could have done this. They could have done this on SmackDown, because if these guys are going to wrestle, have an actual match on the Saudi card, then maybe they didn't need it on Saudi. That's how I feel a little bit. But again, if this is what the direction they were going to have it on the Saudi card, and having those fans enjoy it, which they clearly did, they enjoyed it. So that's a good, that's a plus. So I mean, by all means, but at least nobody. I mean, no pun intended. Nobody gets hurt in this. Like, Orton doesn't get hurt from the loss. KO doesn't get hurt from a loss. So I guess, like, if that's where you're going, then it's like, I guess it ends up working out if you have a set plan going forward.
And that's what I said. This show still had 5 matches, one match that never started, and then whatever Nia and Liv was. So it was still a 5-match show. It was still a 5-match show.
Yo,
I
you
will
said
say-
that, I was like, damn, that makes so much sense.
I will say, while I agree with the idea that they could have done this on SmackDown, when you hear the reaction Randy gets in Saudi, and I think Randy gets a reaction that almost nobody does, I think you have to have him on most of these shows.
Yeah. It really feels like Orton is getting like John Cena 2015 treatment. Like you've been here
And
for
part
so
of it is
long,
the
but
theme.
now everybody legitimately appreciates you.
Yeah, I mean, part of it is his theme. I don't want to say that I don't want to say his theme is more over than the guy himself, because I think it's pretty even. I think Orton has put in the work to like not be that guy, like kind of like a Seth Rollins. Even though Seth Rollins is great, sometimes it feels like with Seth Rollins, it feels like his theme is more over than Seth Rollins is. I don't think that's the case, but sometimes I'm like, it could be that because, you know, there's been a few times when Orton has come out and the theme has gotten over when it comes to that stuff like that. But I do agree with Sid. Like, it kind of, ever since he's come back from his injury, it seems like there's a big, huge appreciation for Orton. Like, you know, he's a legend status. So he doesn't really need to do anything at this point. Like, if he was to retire today, you know, I think there'll still be a big appreciation for Orton for all he's done. But the fact that he's still going, I think a lot of people appreciate that as well, especially when he basically had a career-ending injury. I mean, he had a lower back fusion, which a lot of people don't come back from. And to have it at the time that he had it and the age that he's had it, yeah, it's really rough. Like, it's bad. And, you know, the fact that he's overcome that and he's still doing what he's doing, and, you know, like, again, there's been like a high appreciation for him, because even that GUNTHER match like he had was it was an incredible match, way better than I gave Orton credit for that he could do. And at this age, if he wanted to work at a high level, so when it comes to that, like, I could see why they would put him on the card because of stuff like that. So I do agree with things like that.
Next up, we had the United States Championship up for grabs. LA Knight defending against Carmelo Hayes and Andrade. And from the minute go, I thought these guys just put up, like, they went out here to make a point, because this show really needed this match to deliver at this point, because this was looking like one of the worst shows of the year for WWE. And then these guys just went out there and just had great spot after great spot and so much creativity in what they were doing. There was a great spot early when Andrade went to the top rope, seemingly looking like he's targeting Carmelo in the ring, and then he hits a beautiful moonsault to the outside. You got Andrade hit a Hayes with an avalanche fall away slam, Spanish fly type move, and then LA Knight goes to the top rope. He does his jump up from the second rope to the top rope, diving elbow drop on both guys. Multiple attempts of double pins by everybody in this match pretty much. Later on, Knight leaped onto the top rope. He slipped and crotched himself, but then eventually recovers and hits a big avalanche German suplex on Andrade, which leaves Mello on the top rope, and Mello has the best shit-eating grin when he sees that, and then hits nothing but net on Hayes on Knight for a very close near fall as well. And then the crowd is chanting, "This is awesome." At this point, Hayes went for his La Mystica face buster, but then LA Knight jumps in. He hits basically a double BFT on both men and gets the 1-2-3 on Carmelo to pick up the victory here. I thought this match, like, by the end of this match, I was like, oh man, that was like a great 15-minute matchup. And then I seen it was only 9 minutes. That was in the best way possible. Sometimes a match can be short and it feels long because it's bad, but this was so good that it felt longer than what it actually was, because it was all thriller, no filler at all. I thought this was the best match of the show up to this point. I gave it 3 3/4 stars. What did you think, Josh?
The same. I thought the match was a little bit longer, but it kind of felt like all of them were kind of working like in a sense of urgency. Like, I don't know if it was time running out, whatever the case may be. That's how I kind of felt. So like, I think that's why maybe all guys worked well together because I mean, Andrade and Carmelo, I mean, at this point, how many matches they've had against each other? So it's like, right? You know what I mean? Like, you kind of expect great work from those two. The triple threat aspect, I think, did kind of make it better because with LA Knight's experience. The only thing I would say, and maybe I'm on the outside looking, and maybe this is just me how I feel. When it comes to Andrade and Carmelo, this whole thing kind of made them, I don't know, kind of make them look like idiots. They had a whole series, and there was no winner, and they promoted Game 7. Now LA Knight still won. Like, he basically won like their feud. Like, what? That's how I came out looking. Like, what? Like, what? What was all that for? Because I mean, I didn't get to speak about it. I think it was the last week. I didn't get to speak about that part, but it was like, LA Knight basically won their feud. I'm trying to Carmelo didn't won their feud, but LA Knight did. I was like, oh, all right, sure. But overall, I mean, yeah, I do. The match was actually great. Especially that finish. That I didn't expect that finish to happen. Like, he did some finish on both guys like that. It was a pretty unique way. Hey, I mean, you want LA Knight to continue his run? I mean, I guess it's the best way to do it.
Yeah, he's having a really strong run as United States champion. It's like the juxtaposition to what Logan Paul gave us, where he gave us little to no title defenses. On the LA Knights giving us really good title defenses like every other week, it feels like. Robert, what did you think about the three-way? You're muted.
Oh, let me see.
Look, the three-way was great. They all worked well together. I agree with everything that was just said, except for the simple thing. Why the hell isn't Carmelo Hayes the United States champion after watching this match? No, and let's go a step further here, because we talked about this in the build-up to Bad Blood SP3, where the whole internet was like, there is no singles black men working any pay-per-views, and you have a golden opportunity here to make a guy a workhorse, put him on every show, elevate talent while working with him, and instead of that, he takes the pin. To preserve Andrade, and I love Andrade, but are we seriously serious right now? We got to preserve Andrade, who was at the same level for 3 years in AEW as he's been the last year in WWE. What are we doing? Why isn't Carmelo Hayes the U.S. champion right now? That's all I want to know.
I said this on our preview. I was like, I think LA Knight's going to win, but I really feel like Carmelo Hayes is the person who should beat him for the U.S. championship.
Yeah, I felt like he was going to retain it. Like, I felt like LA Knight was going to retain it because of the bullshit they've been doing again. It's just, it's unfortunate. Like I said, like, I think it's unfortunate because I'm like, I do agree. Like, this was a great opportunity to do it. It's just that I don't think the momentum was there because of how they've been more focused on Andrade and Melo and all this stuff. So I didn't see the momentum there. I think if they find a way to make this a one-on-one feud, LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes, I think that's how you do it. That's how he'll eventually win the title if that's where they want to go with it. But I do agree with that. Like, I wouldn't have been upset if Carmelo won today. I'm not really upset that LA Knight won. It's just more of like, it's more the logistics behind it. Like, you had this man win their feud, and now, like, where does this take both guys, right? Because Andrade has always been unhappy. Pretty sure he's still unhappy now, right? He's probably gonna go on Twitter next week and complain again. I just don't know.
And here's the thing. You're right. Maybe a singles program would accomplish something, but you've given yourself an external hurdle to get to that, because why should he get a singles match? He got pinned. There's no reason to do this.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, yeah, I do agree. I do agree with that. But then again, Dominic Mysterio pinned Damian Priest, and then he's put into the number one contenders match.
What can you do?
WWE logic. That's WWE
Yeah.
logic for you. But finally, we had the second of the Crown Jewel Championship matches. This time for the men, it was Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, one-on-one with the American Nightmare, the undisputed WWE Champion, Cody Rhodes. Cody got a huge pop from the Saudi Arabia crowd, loudly singing along with this theme song. They started the match with loud Olay chants, sang for Cody Rhodes. Rhodes wearing navy blue, gold, and white. Gunther wearing black and white. They went back and forth on the mat, really kind of feeling out process for the first 5 minutes. Rhodes had the advantage at first, and then Gunther took over with a side headlock. Gunther kept going for the sleeper hold, and Rhodes quickly slipped out of it. The crowd was red hot for this opening section of the matchup. It did seem like they were going to be hot no matter what was happening in the ring, because they were kind of entertaining themselves at some point, doing the wave and shit. Rhodes was hitting jazz, but then Gunther cut him off with a big chop before he can hit the bionic elbow. Gunther taunted the fans before hitting Rhodes with an uppercut. He started taking and slowing things down. Cody would come back with the Dustin Rhodes uppercut and some clotheslines to knock down Gunther. Gunther worked over the back of Cody after slamming him out on the floor. Rhodes knocked Gunther off the apron with a springboard kick, but Gunther tried a sleeper again, and Rhodes knocked him out of the ring. Gunther blocked a suicide dive, body slammed him on the floor again. Gunther worked over Rhodes with the crowd doing Olay chants. The announcers figured that the fans were trying to get into Gunther's head, because the last time he lost was against Sami Zayn at WrestleMania, and then that was at that point where they did the wave. Rhodes came back with a body slam of his own. He hit a delayed reverse for vertical suplex, but Gunther responded with a big body slam. Rhodes came back with the superplex, a power slam of his own. He started hitting the jabs, and then eventually hits the bionic elbow. The crowd chanted for Dusty before Rhodes hits the Cody cutter for a 2 count. He tried for a disaster kick, but Gunther caught him and locks him into the Boston Crab. Rhodes almost escapes, but Gunther hits him with a German suplex and then applies the sleeper. He kept going for the sleeper, and Cody would try to get out of it, but then he would reapply it. Cody hit him with 2 jawbreakers, and then Gunther went for the sleeper again. Rhodes countered, and he hits the crossroads. The fans started chanting, "This is awesome" at that point. Gunther hits the shotgun dropkick and then follows up with a powerbomb for a 2 count. Gunther chopped Rhodes and dismissively smacked him in the face. Rhodes shoved Gunther and fired back with some forearms. Gunther tried a sleeper, but Cody countered with a back suplex. Gunther came right back with a clothesline, and then he tried to follow up with another clothesline, but Cody was able to reverse that into a second crossroads for a near fall this time, very close near fall, almost getting the 3 there. Rhodes went for a super Cody cutter, but Gunther countered that and went for the sleeper, but then Cody was able to reverse that into the cradle. The old Bret Hart finish from Survivor Series 1996 gets the 1-2-3 to pick up the victory and become our first ever Crown Jewel champion. Gunther was obviously frustrated at the end of this, slapping the mat in frustration. This was a great main event matchup. I thought these two guys had the crowd super into the action. It was very well laid out and really escalated as it went on, and the storytelling was top notch. These two guys really proving why they're 2 of the best in the entire company. You get Gunther and Cody shaking hands in the post match. Gunther had some words for Cody, and before he left, Rose was handed the Crown Jewel Championship belt. Cole explained that Triple H informed us that the title will stay there, but both the men and the women will receive rings in the post show. Morgan and Cody eventually were both in the ring, and the Saudi Prince and Triple H raised their hand as we closed the show with fireworks for the 2 winners of the first ever Crown Jewel Championship titles. Like I said, excellent main event. Cody and Gunther showed off really great chemistry. I can't wait for we get an actual feud between these two, because then finally Gunther can beat Cody, because Cody owns Gunther right now. He's eliminated him in 2 straight Royal Rumbles, and in their first one-on-one matchup, he beats him with a counter move. He beats him by out-wrestling Gunther. So he showed that he's the better wrestler, he's the better Royal Rumble performer. Cody is better than Gunther, is what has been the message from their first interactions with each other in WWE. So I need Gunther to win the next matchup when they're actually feuding with one another. But like I said, excellent match. I give it 4.25 stars. Easily the best match. The really genuine, like, great match on this show that really saved the show between this and the triple threat. Robert, what did you think?
This actually shows you why they're the two at the top of the shows. Even though Cody doesn't wrestle as much on TV as he used to, he could still deliver banger after banger on TV if needed. And Gunther he's the best bell-to-bell wrestler that company has. I thought this match was fantastic. I enjoy a good Bret Hart reference. I feel like there's a couple. I feel like Gunther actually was taunting the crowd with the Bret Hart pose. I like that ending. I like that Gunther shook Cody's hand. He took the loss like a man. I don't know if that's planting seeds for a small babyface turn, at least for a couple of weeks, if he has to chop the hell out of Dominic Mysterio, in case that's where they're going with the 4-way. But I thought this match was maybe the best match Cody's had in WWE that didn't involve a torn pectoral or just the sheer emotion of him finishing the story.
Yeah, definitely agree with you there. Josh, what did you think?
It was a great matchup. I'm not surprised that both guys delivered, but just seeing them, main eventing, that was a plus for me. That was a plus. Like you said, Cody completely owns Gunther, which is kind of weird to me because I was just like, I didn't realize oh shit, he eliminated him 2 Royal Rumbles and he won this matchup. It feels like the Dodgers versus the Yankees all over again. Gave me PTSD. Doesn't make me feel good, but yeah, I mean the match was great. As far as the titles, I mean, like I said before, I really don't I don't give a shit about those Saudi belts. So it was the post was whatever to me because it was oh okay, yeah, it's staying in Saudi Arabia. Ooh, oh okay, cool. So they holding the belt for a few minutes and then it's put away. Okay, great. Oh, awesome. But I mean, overall, a great matchup. Both guys delivered. It really does make me look forward to an actual feud, and I know both guys will deliver. I know Gunther will talk a whole lot of shit. That'll be fun because I do think when it comes to Gunther's talking, he's gotten more comfortable. He's gotten better at it. But then the fucking shit talking he's been doing, I think it's been top notch. I don't think he gets enough credit for it because he's finding new ways just to just talk his shit. But a lot of stuff he's saying is legit. So I mean, when the feud happens, it happens. We already seen one match like this. Both guys are gonna deliver, and I do agree. It shows why both of these guys are the champions for each brand.
Yeah. Agreed there. Let us know in the live chat. We appreciate y'all if you're joining us live for the show or if you're coming in late. We appreciate you as well. If you're watching us on demand, we appreciate that. Show your appreciation back. Drop the thumbs up on this video. And final call for super chat donations. Show some love. Any dollar amount matters. We'll highlight the comment on screen with us here. I will be reading a super chat that we received for yesterday's pre-taped preview on tomorrow's flagship podcast. So don't worry, I make beats. We saw that from yesterday. But final call for super chat donations today. In the chat, let us know, more importantly, your match of the night, your MVP, your LVP. Out of 10, what did you give the show? If you gave the show a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle. But for me, Robert, and Josh, let's put our thumbs in the middle for WWE Crown Jewel 2024. Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think I'm in the middle too.
Robert, we are the bar, SP3.
We are the bar. Robert, out of 10, what did you give the show?
This is a 6.5. It had some memorable matches. I think we'll eventually, talk about how great Cody and Gunther was. I really enjoyed the women's tag. I really enjoyed Rollins and Reed, but I don't think by Survivor Series we'll be talking too much about this show outside of the Sami interaction with the Bloodline. And as we talked about, there's so much fatigue there that it's just kind of falling flat.
That is fair. Josh, what about you out of 10?
I'm gonna give it about a 6 because I think Bad Blood I gave about 6.5, and I had my reasons for that. So I think this is about a 6 because I do think this show was a little below that. Like I said before, I think the two matches basically kind of saved it from like being a really bad score because I even told SP3, I'm like, yo, this show sucks so far. I was like, so those two and this was before those two matches, and I really do think those two matches saved it, at least for me, from being a complete bad score. But I mean, besides that, I mean, like the opener again was pretty boring. The angle was fine. But it's getting to a point that it's like, all right, like now we're kind of getting through the motions with Bloodline, with their stuff. The tag match was, it was entertaining. The women's tag matches was entertaining. Women's title match, you want to call it a title match, that was probably my worst match of the night.
Yeah.
And it just like the whole thing, the overbooking shit, especially for something that they kept promoting for weeks. Oh, this is like, again, like you're comparing this to like some, you're trying to make this a big deal. You're trying to make this bigger than like even like a WrestleMania, and it's just like the moment, but it's just like it wasn't none of that, and it didn't need to be that. So I think that's part of the reason why too, like that this show kind of bothered me because they're trying to promote all this shit, and I get what they're doing, I get why they're doing it, but at the same time I'm like, it's not needed. These belts, yeah, it's like a kind of a Saudi thing that they're doing. It kind of feels like, you know what it is? It kind of feels like that they're saying like, hey, we can't give you guys WrestleMania, so let's make some titles for you guys. At least that's something. And it feels like WWE's been doing a lot of that lately. Like Indianapolis, right? When they lost out at WrestleMania next year, but then they're like, oh, we're going to do a future WrestleMania for you guys. Don't worry. It kind of feels like they're doing too much of that. They're trying to like, and I get it. I get why they're doing it, but it's kind of like, guys, can you please stop this shit? Like, at least, like, you don't need to cater to everybody. You're a business. You're going to do what's best for business and just focus on that.
But at the same time, them doing what's best for business leads to them doing deals with Saudi. So it's the win.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know. Even the Saudi
damned
shows.
If you do, damned if you don't.
Yeah, and I've never been a fan of the Saudi shows, to be honest with you. Like, I've never been a fan of it, and I never really cared for it. Even like last year, I felt like they put some care into it, that it was like, oh shit, they actually have some good shows. And then this year kind of just felt like they went back to like what it was before, where it's just like, oh, okay, they're just I guess a filler card, I guess. Like, this is like One Piece filler episodes again. Like, that's how it felt like to me.
Yeah, it's building to Survivor Series, basically. I would give the show a 6.5 out of 10. I think that at one point of the show, I was like, this is actually worse than Bad Blood. But the final two matches kind of raised it up a bit, where I think it's on par with Bad Blood. I think the best match on the show, Cody and Gunther, is not better than Drew versus Punk. I think Drew versus Punk is like a top 3, top 2 WWE match. But the worst match on this show, Liv Morgan and Nia Jax, is worse than both worst matches on Bad Blood, which were the Nia Jax and Bayley and Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley from that show. And I thought that Damian Priest and Finn Balor was boring, but I think this was both boring and overbooked to shit. Nia Jax and Liv Morgan. So I think it balances out to it's an even score. I gave 6.5 for Bad Blood. I give 6.5 for Crown Jewel.
I could see that. I could see why.
What was your match of the night, Josh?
Easily the main event, hands down.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
that's
the same.
unanimous. Unanimous. Cody and Gunther match of the night. Who was your MVP for the show, Rob?
MVP for the show. I think I'm gonna have to say probably Gunther for being able to hold up his end and actually have Cody deliver a match of that level. I think I'll say Gunther's the MVP.
I'm gonna go with Solo Sikoa. Pinned Roman Reigns, and he
I'm
was
on
the
too
key
late.
factor in hey, he pinned him. He pinned him. At the end of the day, he pinned him, and he led the OG bloodline is not all united because he slipped out of the ray at the right time. Josh? Oh, is Josh frozen?
Yeah,
Hey,
he
Josh.
looks like he's frozen.
He's frozen in time. And who
We know his MVP would have been Nia Jax, though. So it's okay.
Of course. My LVP for the show. I think okay, Josh, you're back. I see you're back. You're moving. Who's your MVP for the show, Josh?
MVP for the show. I guess I could give it to the. I mean, I kind of don't want to. I guess maybe the two winners of those belts, Cody and Liv. I guess by default, right?
That's fair because I'm going to give LVP, co-LVP to Triple H for being a sports washing panderer to the Saudi prince, and Liv Morgan because, like I said,
I think I'll give my LVP to one Tongaloa, who just listen, buddy, you were the tag team champions. You didn't win the belt. It was handed to you. You lost it pretty quickly if I remember the Bloodline. Not that I'm going to complain because the Motor City Machine Guns are the coolest thing on WTV right now. But, bud, every time they get the chance to tell you where you belong, they stick you on the outside and make you watch everybody play. I mean, it's got to be him.
That is fair. Tongaloa always gets stuck as the manager when there's a 6-man tag for the Bloodline on pay-per-view. Josh, who is your LV? And I gave it to Liv and Triple H for me. Josh, who's your LVP for the show? Every time I ask him, he gets frozen. It's like I'm jinxing him.
I think his LVP would probably also be Triple H for pandering to the Saudi government.
There we go. We'll keep it as that. No, there he goes again. See, as soon as we answer for him, he appears. Josh, who's your
LVP Triple H. Mine's Triple H.
You see? Like,
you called it.
And maybe we should give an honorable mention to Corey Graves for a certain comment about Sami Zayn virtue signaling. Not the best thing I've heard on commentary, but who knows? I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on this one.
Oh yeah, commentary. Oh, there's like so many bad stuff they were doing. So like Cole, when he was talking about the Dodgers, he was like, "Oh, congratulations to Clayton Kershaw." Clayton Kershaw didn't pitch one fucking inning in the playoffs. He also
called Corey Graves Cora Jade and then Cody Rhodes, so he was just having a rough night.
No, I was like Clayton Kershaw. You gave it to you congratulated the guy that didn't participate in the playoffs. What? I was like, man, damn.
That's like going for like a bench scorer for an NBA champion. But yeah, they were not good on this show either because they be doing a lot of pandering themselves. But that brings us to a close on our WWE Crown Jewel 2024 review. I want to thank you all for joining us live. Thank you if you're watching us on demand. And thank you so much to Josh and, of course, our special guest, Robert DeFelice. Thank you so much for joining us today. I want to give you the floor, give you the spotlight. Everybody know where they can follow you on social media and what you got going on, good sir.
Yeah, as you can see right under my name, you can follow me at Dude Felice on all the social media platforms. You can check out my writing daily over on Fightful.com. And if you want to hear more of what I have to say about things like this, you can always find me on the Smark Out Moment series of podcasts. And I always hope to be back here soon because it's always a good time.
Always enjoyed talking to you, Rob. Thanks for joining us today. Josh, let everybody know where they can follow you. I swear. Okay. I was about to say, I was like, are you frozen again?
I mean, probably because my Wi-Fi is like it's not in great shape right now. It's not like the living Nia match. But you can follow me, JamPunk321, Twitter and Instagram. And I'll be back tomorrow for Tru Heel Heat 301. I'll be on for that.
Yes, join us live tomorrow, 11:05 a.m. Eastern Time, the Tru Heel Heat flagship podcast on a Sunday. Be joining us for that. We'll be talking about this week in wrestling with Crown Jewel, as well as all the major news. Baron Corbin, Indy Hartwell, Tegan Knox being released, Rhea Ripley's major injury, Bobby Lashley's AEW debut, as well as Private Party winning the AEW tag team titles, NXT, Halloween Havoc, TNA, Bound for Glory. A lot to discuss tomorrow on the flagship, so join us live for that. Also check out our NJPW Power Struggle 2024 preview from yesterday with me and Jay News breaking down the card for this coming Monday. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at Tru Heel SP3. Follow the gang, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at Tru Heel Heat. Patreon.com/Tru Heel Heat, the best place to support us when we are not live here, and the best place to get exclusive content from us as well. But we will see you all tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us live. For Robert DeFelice, for the Tru Draw Josh, it is me, your Tru Heel Phenom SP3. This has been our WWE Crown Jewel 2024 review. We are signing off until next time.